Finally, it's done. For those of you that have been following along on my Instagram or here in these videos, I have been working on a cigar band and labeling project for far too long. When I started with the client, this is a project that I did. Honestly, I did it at less than my usual rate because it's something I really was excited about doing specifically for this client. And typically the kind of work that we were looking to do was just so far beyond what made sense economically for a packaging project, which this essentially is. And so I took it on telling the client, you know, we were really kind of at the edge of what was possible at these quantities with these processes. It was a 4-color foil stamping job, and you'll see this is not 4 colors. What we had originally done was tried to do art that was gold or silver in background and then had 3 colors. And I have done all sorts of things. These were attempts at doing the background. I tried it a million different ways. Foil stamping has a lot of challenges involved that relate to the nuances of the paper that you're using and the foil that you're using. And essentially, the foils and the colors we needed didn't have release formulas that I could get to release properly. Some of that is related to like environmental law. It used to be that these foils would work in a certain way, but you know, trying to make things more water-based, there's all that kind of stuff going on. But it's also, you know, just typically things like cigar bands are made on what's called web presses. That would be the kind of press, well, a web press just means that it's a roll instead of a sheet of paper or the substrate, whatever it is. But specifically, these presses are inline presses where they do any of the color work that's like offset printing or whatever that looks like, but that color work all goes through. And then on the same line, they do foil stamping and embossing. And that means that they can get hairline register because it's all essentially one process through the press instead of different presses, different projects, all that kind of stuff. And in this particular case, this band is really, it's really detailed. And so the die cut. And so we had to laser cut that. So after some talk, the client and I discussed it and we pivoted to doing just silver and gold for the bands. This is the first run. We just need him to get his product out the door, and it has been longer than I had hoped it would be. And so we got something out the door that I'm really proud of for what it is. I consider a personal mission to get it done the right way for the next run. We're gonna try it. I'm gonna see if I can do that. It was incredibly challenging. So anyway, I foil stamped them on the kludgy over here, then I embossed them on the other kludgy, did it all feeding by hand because the tolerances are so tiny, like around a 64th of an inch. And this light paper, you know, even just the air can did it pretty much all by hand. The presses were all really slow, like incredibly slow, and each one fed by hand. And I still had about 15% loss between the 3 processes. But they're done. I'm really happy with them. We've got packaging to go with them too that I'm super stoked on. That is kind of what I'm doing to open up for a few more projects that are happening next week in terms of assembly and all that kind of stuff. Tons of production going on here in spite of all the craziness in the world. Because I don't just do weddings, there's other things that need to happen and businesses that want to move forward in this time. And so we are working on some pretty awesome projects. As a completely side thing, well, hold on. As a complete side thing, I picked up some materials that I am super interested in seeing how. Check that out. It's right there, right in the middle of this cast. I can only assume is an epoxy resin. These different materials. This almost looks like OSB, oriented strand board, but it's little chips of wood right there in the edge, which is pretty spectacular. This one I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I can think of plenty of uses for it. I don't love that I see air bubbles in it, but this is like barbed wire essentially, which is pretty cool. It might not be. A bigger sample would have helped. This one is, I think it's essentially just like sheer ribbon in there, which is pretty spectacular. Ooh, this one has a protective coating on it. Forget that. Let's take this off. Oh, that's a little better. Yeah, that's sheer ribbon. Maybe 1 or 2 more of these had that coating on them too. This one does not. This is my favorite so far. It's just blue yarn in there. How cool is that? And that one is metal wire in some sort of cool twisted pattern. And I guess that was the only one with that on there. I have some calls into a rep that sells that to talk about, first of all, what is it? What can I do with it? I know it's formable. And so there's some stuff I can do with that. I don't think I can laser it specifically because of, well, first of all, it's a mix of materials, and so we'd have some problems there. Second of all, it is probably like, it could kill me, so I don't want to do that. And then to top that, but there are other things that I can do with it. Maybe, these finishes are all kind of pebbly. I don't love, I catch the light here. I don't love the texture on this. For most projects like screen printing or something, I'd prefer a gloss or matte, but smooth texture. But I'm thinking maybe I could screen print on it. Might even be able to foil stamp on it if I can get some samples large enough to try that with. I think it only comes in this like 1/4 inch thing mostly, and I'm not super stoked on that either. Just the lack of variety. But like seriously though, beggars can't be choosers. When you get something that looks like that, shoot, I'll find a way to use something like that. I hope you're doing well. I have all sorts of thoughts about what's been happening with coronavirus, but I have been like just slammed here, which is awesome and exciting. But I miss you guys. And I would love to hear what's going on with you. Drop a comment here below telling me how coronavirus is affecting you or what's going on with whether you're a designer or a wedding pro, whatever you're doing, or a printer. How are you doing? How are you holding up? Follow me on Instagram where I'm sharing some of the things. I Insta-lived some of the laser cutting of this today. There's exciting things happening, and I hope there are exciting things happening in your world too. And if you'd like to support my ability to make even more beautiful videos for you, you can support these videos at patreon.com/afinepress. A special thanks to Torsten Jansky. He's been with me since I started Patreon. Thanks so much, Torsten. I hope you're finding awesome ways to make the best of this time, and I can't wait to see you out in the real world again soon. All right, have a great one.